the mind is so creative, it can fashion what you want. It can fashion out of your hopes and dreams those things that are consistent with this image in your mind. And this is what's called Makyo. This is what's called Maya. This is called being deluded about the reality of a class of experiences that you've had. Why is that? Because in that image of yourself, there can also be things that you think are so important for yourself to have that then the mind then will fashion out of your own dreams these things which are close to what is real, but it's an illusion. The ability to separate the reality from the illusion, the makya, the maya, the delusion, can only be done by someone who themselves have gone through these and is able to distinguish, right? Able to distinguish between the appearance and reality. If under similar circumstances you can expect similar things to occur, then someone who has had the experience of working with people who have been meditating can tell again and again through their experience that there's a certain kind of makyo, maya, or delusion that occurs very close when you're at the point where you're very close to the real. The mind will want to then grasp onto this, because it's an image, and say, I've made it. This must be it. And that will just inflate the image of the self. Therefore, in this wonderful game, since there's integrity at the cornerstone of every meditation practice, you don't judge. You let those judge who can judge. And if you think you can judge, then you want to see whether or not your judgment is sound by having your whole structure examined, whether or not you're capable of judging as a whole. Now, there are some states of mind which are beatific, light, luminosity, openness, clarity, all kinds of things. All kinds of things. They occur, let this be in Kundalini Yoga, the awakening of the Kundalini goes through each of the centers, spills over in the Sushumna into the mind itself, right? And through the Ajna chakra, the second-most chakra, the Ajna chakra. And one has such an experience which is appropriate to that level. For each major experience, there's a whole set which are similar to it, but it is not that. And it's an interesting study to see how Zen masters and yoga masters distinguish between the makya, the mayas, and the delusions and what's real. What they have to do, this is their test. This is their test. And this is why this game is really a very fine and noble game. All right. Here you are. Here's the master. You're in a certain state in which you are exhibiting a certain state. He will ask you a question. That question then will see to what degree you can then say what is most real to you while bypassing the image. to the degree that he can see this image surface in the statement of your experience or in the way in which you are at that very moment, knows immediately that is a shallow experience. What should he then urge you to do? Hey, you're close. You're close. Makyo is close. Now, with the greatest of all possible integrity, sincerity, power, interest, strive on. So he has to ask you something or respond to what you're bringing. You see, you're bringing something to him, the fruit of your work. He has to look at it and then immediately judge it in such a way that you can see for yourself whether it's real or false. Simultaneously, bang, bang, over, done. In the judgment of the state, whatever the master says must be of such clarity that the person who has the question and wants that state judged can immediately see whether he's right or wrong. There are some times when the person doesn't see they're right or wrong because they are insisting that they want to keep and they want to express themselves through that image, and therefore they will be in a very characteristic way of being, which is fraudulent, and they may not see it. Which is why it's so important to do this kind of study, because then you're getting close to what it is that's driving it. And therefore you won't confuse the two. Therefore, those two possibilities occur. One, ideally, you present the fruit of your work, of your life, of your struggles. That person can judge it and express it with such clarity that immediately the person who has the question can see the truth of it. And if they can see the truth of it, then they can jump one more step. On the other hand, if the person says, oh, no, he can't really see, I'm better, I can judge myself, lost integrity, to continue the game of establishing that image. Now, in the very practice of this game, all right, let's take this person out. What are the signs you might still be under the influence of one of these little images of the self? It's really interesting, you see. We pay a price for every image of the self. That image of the self contains an image of the self that has implications on the whole physiology of man. You can't have an image of yourself that isn't in some way visible to someone else. Oh, that's you. Oh, you're acting like yourself. Oh, that's characteristic of you. That is to say, in the whole muscle structure of your face, and all of your mannerisms, even the slightest, this image molds and shapes. It molds and shapes. As a consequence, it has a muscular effect as well, emotional and muscular. What does that mean? That means that in order to keep that image going, because part of the image is to get other people to react to it rather than to your true self, therefore they have to see it, therefore it's a mask, therefore it's visible to them, therefore you want them to treat it in a certain way. Therefore, as you're proceeding into this higher state and challenging the false images of yourself, you will notice at some critical point that you have to drop